Confirmation bias and fake news. Our clear learning target is to identify confirmation bias and how it can lead to the spread of misinformation and disinformation. First, some terms. A bias is a prejudice in favor or against one thing, person, or group compared with another. It's usually considered to be unfair. Explicit bias refers to attitudes and beliefs, either positive or negative, that one deliberately holds and expresses about a person or a group. Whereas implicit bias is an attitude or belief about people, ideas, or institutions that occur outside of your awareness and control. These attitudes and beliefs can shape our opinions and behaviors. Everyone has implicit biases, even people who try to remain objective, like judges and journalists, and they shape over a lifetime. However, people can work to combat and change these biases. Confirmation bias is the selective collection of evidence that we seek, either consciously or subconsciously, to interpret information and other evidence in ways that affirm our existing beliefs. In other words, it's seeking information that confirms beliefs that we already hold.
Why do we love music so much? And why do we sometimes really like an artist just to be greatly disappointed by their new album? If the musicians didn't just suddenly lose their talent, what happened here? The secret to why we like music lies in the anticipation, repetition, and recognition. When a band changes their style, they fail to fulfill our expectations. What's remarkable, though, is our brain does not only process music that way. We are designed to find patterns in everything we hear, everything we take in. And the information we learn makes up the construction of our opinions. Once we established a belief, we go further in seeking supporting material. We find confirmation in the media, our own experiences, or what others tell us. Though useful in acquiring knowledge, here's the downside. Any information that threatens the architecture inside our heads will be disregarded. Our brain does not like the identified pattern to be broken, just like it wants to keep listening to a catchy song. Generally speaking, we're constantly looking for reassurance of our values. Contradiction causes us discomfort, which is even stronger when emotions and habits are involved. So we don't challenge our own beliefs, even if we're exposed to evidence against them. The phenomenon is called confirmation bias and occurs to everybody. Journalists, uncles, doctors, students, teachers, and even politicians. Especially intelligent and educated people are subject to bias because it happens subconsciously and merely knowing of the issue doesn't prevent it. Real critical thinking is physically exhausting, and in a fast-paced, information-loaded world, we often need to rely on our instincts to make quick decisions. Yet, if we admit to ourselves we are wrong in something, we must face the fact that we don't think as logically as we assumed. Scientists therefore have to actively find methods to overcome it. For example, trying to disprove a theory in order to test it. That is why you should always question everything. Because we grow by keeping an open mind. Just like with music, we can only discover beautiful new things when we open up to what is different to what we already know.
So let's stop and share. How might confirmation bias influence the way people select and respond to news and information? Go ahead and pause the video and either discuss as a class or write down individually. Next, how does confirmation bias affect our ability to judge the accuracy of information, whether it be from a news story or something else that we see on the internet? Again, stop the video and either discuss as a class or to write down individually. A few more terms. Disinformation. Disinformation is the deliberate creation and/or sharing of false information in order to mislead. Misinformation is the act of sharing information without realizing it's wrong. So if I am purposely telling you something I know to not be true, I am sharing disinformation. If I am sharing information that in fact is not accurate, but I believe it is, mistakenly sharing it with you, that's misinformation. Let's now listen to this story.
Caitlin Dewey wrote a column for the Washington Post called "What Was Fake on the Internet This Week?" Now, she's decided that format doesn't work anymore, and she's here to explain why. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Ari. How are you?
I'm good. So, how has the internet changed since you started this column in May of 2014?
Well, it seems to me like it's changed in two main ways. The first is that there's been sort of this industrialization of the hoax news industry, meaning that a lot of news sites now exist that do nothing but publish fake news for the traffic and the ad revenue.
So people are just making money off fake news and hoaxes.
Exactly. There's been just like a proliferation of that sort of site that didn't really exist when I started the column. The other thing that's happened, in some ways sort of more troubling, is that where fake news just used to be sort of ridiculous or sensational, anything to make people click, it now tends to have more of a partisan edge to it. It seems aimed to exploit people's biases or prejudices or pre-existing views. And we're finding that that's something that's a little harder to combat in the format of a weekly column.
Are you saying that if you debunk something that confirms people's prejudices, they're more likely to believe the fake thing that confirms their prejudices than they are the column debunking it?
Absolutely. In fact, I'm not the only one who's found that. There's actually been a great deal of research to that effect, too. It's like within these very siloed communities, they tend to believe in a conspiracy or misinformation more when it is debunked than they did before. So it's troubling. It's difficult for us to figure out sort of how to address those issues.
Can you give me a recent example of perhaps something that you debunked in a column that had traction anyway because it confirmed what people wanted to believe?
Yeah, absolutely. There was one just last week. A Facebook user showed a photo of a protest at an Islamic education center in Dearborn, Michigan, and he claimed that it was a photo of a pro-ISIS protest. In fact, it was from a peace rally that Islamic Center holds every year. And even though we were able to very clearly document that that's what it was, that it happened every year, that it had been covered in the local paper and things like that, that photo still continued to spread on Facebook with this misinformation that it was a pro-ISIS rally. And, you know, when you have such clear news coverage and documentation that that's not what it is, I mean, it's hard to say how the rumor circulates anyway.
If journalists like you just give up on trying to demonstrate that these stories are false, haven't we really lost something valuable as a society?
Absolutely, but rest assured we are not giving up. We are stopping the weekly column because it just seems to be ineffective and ill-suited to the current internet landscape. But we are definitely looking at different, more creative and more aggressive ways to deal with this viral misinformation, and hopefully we'll come up with something new soon.
But it doesn't sound like you're super optimistic about getting that spiral under control.
No, I'm definitely not optimistic, but I mean, obviously one of the core functions of journalism is to correct misinformation. So regardless of what the atmosphere is like online, I think we have to continue persevering and hopefully innovating ways to stop the spiral, even if it does seem sort of futile.
Caitlin Dewey is the digital culture critic at the Washington Post, and until last week, she was the author of What Was Fake on the Internet This Week. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And now, more.
Did you know that 2/3 of Americans get their news from social media? And they still do so even though 57% of the people expect the news to be largely inaccurate? Why do we continue to get and spread news that we may or may not know to be a rumor or disinformation? Go ahead and stop the video now and discuss as a class, or write your answer individually. One reason that we spread information or false information could be that because it confirms our own bias. We tend to believe information that we agree with, and we disbelieve information that does not confirm our beliefs. This can lead to an echo chamber. An echo chamber is an environment in which a person encounters only beliefs or opinions that coincide with their own, so that their existing views are reinforced and alternative ideas are not considered. And because of the way in which social media algorithms are designed, the more we like and share news that confirms our beliefs, the more you'll see those views.
Hey, did you see that basketball game last night? Yeah, I loved it. I love basketball. Basketball's the best sport ever. Hey, what are you guys talking about? The basketball game. The basketball game was the best. I love basketball. Yeah, basketball's alright, but I really like football. No way, man. Football is gotta go. Get out of here. Oh, alright. Hey, what are you guys talking about? That basketball game. Did you see the basketball game? I loved it. Oh, I love basketball. Basketball's the best. Oh, yeah, I like you. Basketball, basketball, basketball. Basketball, 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 basketball. Hey guys, we're gonna play football outside. You wanna join us? Nope, only basketball. Basketball, 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 basketball. Yes, we really only care about basketball. Basketball, basketball. Do you have anything about basketball you wanna tell me? No, I guess not. I'll see you later. Basketball is the greatest sport. I think it must be the only sport people care about, right? I mean, it seems that way. That's all I ever hear about is basketball. I love it. Basketball's so good. I can't imagine that we're missing anything else. Hey guys. Did you see that football game? Yeah, the football game was great. We should go play. Yeah, and you know what else? I also like baseball. Hey, did I hear you say that you like baseball? We should totally go play a baseball game. Yeah, okay, let's go do that. Yay!
So, what are some ways in which we can combat confirmation bias and prevent creating an echo chamber? Well, first of all, slow down. When you're getting information, take your time to think critically about what the information is. Have you considered, does it confirm or discredit your bias? Are you even aware of what your own biases are? Think about those things and use tools to discern whether or not the news is misinformation or disinformation before you share. Now I would like for you to list 3 things you have learned from this lesson. List 2 questions that you still have, and write 1 aspect of the lesson that you like best. Thank you.